It's all around us. Available at the turn of a faucet. We drink it, cook with it, clean with it, swim in it, and even cool with it. In fact, Americans are the world's heaviest water users, averaging nearly twice the per-person water consumption of the rest of the world. In some areas, water is becoming scarce and more expensive. Diverting or extracting it can also cause problems. And excessive water consumption means using more energy to heat it, pump it, and treat its sewage and other byproducts. As America's second largest industry, lodging uses an enormous amount of water, over 150 billion gallons a year, at a cost to the industry of nearly $350 million. Many larger, newer hotels are already taking steps to reduce water consumption. But smaller hotels and motels may lack the resources needed to analyze their systems and make critical changes that can save water.
Well, a lot of your smaller properties have a tendency to fall through the cracks, and what I mean by that is your larger properties like the MGM are newer, or maybe your national chains have come through and they've adopted some conservation practices as part of their standard operating procedures, but it's often the little guy, the independent, who maybe hasn't kept up and maybe hasn't benefited from that large corporation mentality. I think it's important for them to investigate programs like this and investigate water conservation, because it's just as significant for their bottom line as well.
That's why the Environmental Protection Agency and the American Hotel and Motel Association recently launched a new program entitled Water Efficiency for Small Lodging Operations. Under this grant from the EPA, faculty from 8 hotel management schools were invited to East Lansing, Michigan, home of the AH&LA's Educational Institute, to be trained in water conservation analysis for lodging operations. They would then return to their respective campuses to train groups of students who would market and conduct free water efficiency surveys to small hotels and motels in their areas. The intensive 2-day training, conducted by Pequot Associates Incorporated of Boston, Massachusetts, covered marketing and sales of these services to target hotels, preliminary data acquisition, water systems and technology, conducting an on-site survey of a small lodging operation, and analysis of the data. Faculty members were also introduced to an EPA software program called WaveSaver, which they use to analyze water usage and systems in a hotel and calculate potential savings from various conservation techniques.
Water conservation is still not a highly developed science, so the knowledge is sort of resident in a relatively few people and some sort of esoteric technologies. So the training is essentially background to help folks understand how the software works that we're helping them to use.
Understanding how hotels can benefit from these water surveys was the first step toward successfully implementing the program. Participants learned that hotels already facing water resource issues due to seasonal or climatic patterns, government regulations, or disposal of byproducts would ideally benefit from this service, as would hotels in high-density areas where code limitations prohibited new construction. Michigan State University professor Jack Ninemeyer worked through the State Lodging Association to get the word out to hotels and motels who may lack the resources to address water efficiency on their own. These agencies help promote the program through member networks, trade journals or newsletters, and state association meetings. Marketing efforts stressed that the service was free with no obligation, would generate significant bottom-line savings, and would improve the hotel's market share, with the 30% of Americans who say they consider the environment when making purchases. Preparation was the key to successful sales. At Cornell University, students under the direction of Associate Professor David Stepanek analyzed their local hotel market, looking at the variables such as size, client base, and the type of operation in order to prepare for sales calls. The water conservation team then contacted property owners or managers to schedule an on-site sales call, closely documenting their sales activity and noting the key contact person. When making the sales call, a professional, customer-centered approach worked best. Carrying an ID or wearing a name tag for credibility, the student explained the benefits of this free service, as well as the small time commitment required by the property owner or manager, only 1 to 2 hours. The student requested preliminary data from the hotel and closed by setting a date for the on-site survey. Once a target hotel agreed to participate in the program, data acquisition began. Students at Johnson & Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, analyzed raw data from participating hotels looking at type of operation, water and sewage use, as well as related gas and electricity consumption. Using the WAVE program, they entered this data and analyzed trends related to business activity, conservation efforts, seasonal fluctuations, and irrigation patterns. The site investigation followed. At the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, students assembled the necessary tools, from flow measurement bags and flashlights to temperature gauges. The site visit began with a brief interview with the hotel manager or chief engineer. This meeting took about a half an hour and was an opportunity for the surveyor to explain the plan and purpose of the site visit, ask key questions about the hotel's operation, and probe for any constraints to implementing water conservation efforts. The facility tour was next, escorted by the hotel contact person. The survey team followed an efficient itinerary, looking at specific water systems, noting equipment and